talking about the C4 transmission. You just saw how all the parts were laid out on my table, and this video is going to show you how I took the transmission apart to get it this far. This is the first step of the breakdown. Every part that you saw in the video just a second ago breaks down even more. So this is the initial breakdown of the C4 transmission. If you're doing this for the first time, don't feel bad. This is my first time too. I'm hoping in this video I can show you everything that you need to know, either through video or through pictures. Well, we've taken over 100 pictures as I took the transmission apart. I apologize for the length of the video, but again, this is crucial. This is an important process, because if you get one thing wrong in this transmission, it's not going to work. This transmission was put in the car in 1974, and after digging into it and taking it apart, I found a lot of water that came out of the transmission, along with transmission fluid. Transmission fluid was black, and I'm the first one to break this transmission open since it came off the production line. All the parts in here look good so far, other than sacrificing the housing here to get the pump out, because the pump was not coming out. Hopefully you don't have to cut yours out like I did. The new casing is coming. I ordered it already, so let's get to it. This is the C4 transmission as it came out of my 1974 Ford Maverick, my resto mod that I'm currently working on for the last 2 years. As you can see, the torque converter is still in place, so I'm going to be removing that. But when you take this out of your car, be sure to put the aluminum arm that I made, like I made, on the front of your torque converter so it doesn't fall off. It's not bolted in or anything. So as it comes out, yours may or may not be rusted, like mine is. This is a closed system, and I was able to remove the light rust and get it repainted, which incidentally at the end of the video I'll show you that process. So moving on, once you get the torque converter off, you're going to have 8 bolts, as in the top picture there, 7 or 8 bolts I mean, that's going to hold the bell housing on. And this C4 came off of an inline 6-cylinder and is getting bolted up to a 302 engine. The bell housing matches. With the bell housing removed, you can then remove the front servo, which mine is a B, as in picture 1. Picture 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 is the process of the servo coming out. There is a spring in the back, so it may or may not pop out on you. When you get the servo out, the next thing I did was move on to the oil cooling lines, which in this situation was rusted on like everything else in this car. And as I tried to remove the engine cooling lines the right way, the heads rounded off. Even with spraying, I could not get the threads to I couldn't get a good fit to get the bolt out of the first cooling line. So that's okay. I've got another persuasive way, which isn't the chosen way, but I went ahead and cut these off. Incidentally, if you do need to cut yours off, be sure to cut on the threads, if possible, to remove that line as you see here. And if you have to replace the 90-degree elbow, you can get those, I believe, at Jeg for $39 a piece. Again, both of mine had to be cut off. Once I got the line off, then I was able to loosen it and take the 90-degree fitting off of the transmission, which is okay because you probably need new ones anyway. So I'm not too worried about that at all. And as you can see here, I'm cutting the back one off so I can do the exact same thing to that and get the 90-degree elbow off. Again, you can buy these, I believe, at Jegs or even on eBay for like $39 or so. So with that done, I moved on to the rear reverse servo, and the plate comes off, the piston there with the O-ring on it. Important thing to know about that is the O-ring is molded onto the piston itself, so you have to replace the whole piston. Here I'm removing the tail housing of the transmission to expose the rear output shaft, the governor, and other components that need to be removed. Inside there in the middle you'll see your speed sensor. That will probably need to be replaced. With that done, I was able to go in and remove the front seal to the pump, and the next step is to get the oil pan off the bottom, take the valve body out, and start the process of removing the front pump, which incidentally, when I had the transmission on its side like this, be ready for a bunch of fluid to come out. As you see where my left hand was there, not only did I get transmission fluid that was black in color and misty smelling, I also got about 4 to 5 cups of water. That was not expected, but you know, it's a good thing I'm taking this transmission apart to see what the inner components look like. So be sure to mark and tag your bags as I'm doing here. Keep all your bolts straight because there's a lot of them and you're going to need to know where they all go back. A little tap on the side of the oil pan should break that loose rather quickly, and then when you take that off, inspect the condition. Mine, oil, water, a little bit of surface rust, and that'll be later addressed. So with the pan off, you got exposure to the bottom valve body and the filter, and those need to be removed. I just removed the bolts that remove the valve body from the transmission. I did not remove the filter yet at this point. As you can see, with age, a little bit of surface rust, grime, grease, and everything else, it's kind of nasty. So here goes the process of removing the bolts by hand. I believe there's 9 of them. I believe a 9mm and an 8mm socket is what I used to remove these bolts. I did not use my torque wrench or anything, or my impact. I wanted to do this by hand. I didn't want to round any of the heads off. That's the reason why I did it by hand instead. So just about there with all the bolts, and as soon as I do, there's a lever there on the shifting gear you need to be careful of. It's kind of spring loaded when you take that out. I'm removing that bolt now, and you want to hold that down while you remove the bolts so you can see how the components go back together again when you put it back together. And this is the shifting lever I was talking about. That gets bolted to the bottom of the valve body and must go in how it came out. So please pay special attention to that. So I just set that metal clip off to the side, and later when I get the valve body out, I will place that on top of the valve body where it goes. So gingerly taking out the valve body, because I'm not sure what to expect when I pull this off, so I'm hoping for no surprises when it comes off. That's why I'm taking it easy on it. And there you have it. There is the valve body off the transmission. I'll set that off to the side and I'll rebuild that at a later time. And here's just some close-up pictures of the bottom of the valve body, which this needs to come apart and cleaned up and detailed. Gaskets replaced, O-rings replaced. That all should come in the rebuild kit that you get with your transmission parts. Pretty clean on the bottom side. I was surprised to see that, considering how the top looked. So again, we'll take this apart at a later time. Here on the inside, you've got the main components of the transmission. You have the front drum, which holds your clutches. You got your sun gear in the middle, and I believe that holds your front planetary gear and those teeth right there. And then you've got your back drum. I believe the clutches and steels are in the front part of all of this, and the back drum with the other set of teeth has your rear planetary gear. So we'll open this up later, but right now we're just taking the parts out. And to get the parts out, you got to take the front pump off. So the bell housing bolts is what holds the front pump in, and a video I was watching, the guy went in it and tapped on it 5 or 6, a handful of times, and it came right out. The problem I had is this transmission. I do believe I am the first one to get into this transmission since it came off the production line. It didn't want to come out. As you see here, I'm trying to angle bar to get in there, tapping on the back of the pump. At this point, I had no idea what I was tapping on. When I finally got the pump out, I found that I was on a bolt, one of the bolts that holds the pump together. This is a screwdriver I decided to try using after several blows, several tries. To be honest with you, I was on this transmission pump for over an hour. I bent the tip of one screwdriver, I broke the tip off of another screwdriver, and I snapped the handle of this screwdriver you see right here. I tried using my regular hammer, and then I also tried to be more persuasive with it with my 3-pound sledgehammer. And that's how I broke off the handle. So as you see here, I've got the adjusting bolt out that holds your your front band together. The band I do have loose. The servo holds in that one clip to your band on the right, and the adjusting bolt that you use to adjust the bandwidth holds the other clip in place. As you can see, I'm hitting this quite hard, and as I'm hitting it, this all-important modulator is getting loose. You don't want to lose this pin right there that you see in the middle there. If you lose that pin, you're not going to be able to shift your vehicle. That modulator controls when and how your transmission shifts with the engine. So very important not to lose that. I think this pretty much says it all right here. I've got the valve body off, which is right here, and I've got the governor off, the governor bolts, and a few other things off. I got the band loose on the inside of the transmission, but the problem is I'm having with this pump right here. This is the front pump, and you're supposed to be able to tap it out, and I was not able to, but instead I was able to break a screwdriver and bend a few other screwdrivers also. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to sacrifice the housing, meaning this aluminum housing is I found it on eBay for $145, the exact same one. And if I mess up the pump, I believe I've already messed up the pump, because I was taking this screwdriver here, just like the video I was watching said, put it in here, I tapped the back end with the 5-pound sledge, and this pump did not budge. So I believe my tip of the screwdriver, as you can see, this one's starting to bend, and another screwdriver, I've already bent the tip and I bent it back. I believe I've already put holes in the back of the pump. That's okay. That might be a blessing in disguise, because this pump, I found it for $169, in addition to the $145 transmission housing that I'm going to purchase. So that's okay, because then if I replace the pump, that means I do not have to rebuild it. 6 of one, half of the other. But this comes apart forward, meaning I can't get this back here out this direction. It's got to go forward, and the only way to go forward is to get this pump out. And to get this pump out, now I'm gonna, like I said, sacrifice the transmission housing. I'm gonna be doing some cuts along here all the way around, and hopefully I can get this pump out. Alright folks, so here we are. I got this cut right here all the way around to this side, so it's halfway cut out. Now I'm hoping I can tappity tap tap get this thing out. I sprayed some silicone down in the cracks, and I'm going to spray it again. I'm going to start tapping on this, see if we can pry that out. I think it's coming. Separating. There it goes. This is the result I'm looking for. It's sad I had to sacrifice the housing to get this out. Now before I take it off too much, let me flip the transmission back over. Get it back right out. Now if you look in here, this is going to start coming apart. This tooth went in there. I'm just going to pull this out. Okay. It's heavy. And
what is that?
This is the shaft.
No, that thing, this thing.
Gasket.
Ah.
Alright, I'm going to set this right here.
I don't like about hurting. That's fine.
That's the pump assembly. And then right here, this is the front drum. With all of that done, it's time to start removing the internal parts. Again, these parts get further broke down. Here's the front of the pump, and again, I had to cut the pump out, and that's why it looks so nasty. My gears are in there, my clutches and steels, and here I'm working on getting the sun gear out and taking the band out. All the parts come out. This goes rather quick. As you can see, this band is cracked and burnt. It's ready for the trash. This is my forward planetary gear, which looks like it's in pretty good shape. So off to the left there, the front shiny part is the front portion where my first set of clutches and steels are. The back portion is the second set of clutches and steels, and then you've got the sun gear itself. Now I'm taking out the rear reverse clips and the adjusting bolt so I can get the rear band out of the transmission. As you can see, it comes out rather effortlessly. I'm not taking it out all the way right now. Again, I don't know what's going to happen when I take that out, so I'm being very cautious, re-looking over my parts so I don't get anything so I don't get anything out of order. So right now I'm trying to figure out how this rear drum comes out. There's a few parts that still need to come out. Here's the second planetary gear getting ready to be pulled out. And I did briefly inspect all these parts as they came out, and everything looks fine on initial appearance. When I get ready to break all the other components down even more, I'll inspect it even closer. So here comes the second planetary gear. This is the rear. And taking pictures as I go. It looks pretty clean, looks pretty good. So now you've got the rear output shaft you see in the middle of the transmission there. And I think I'm figuring out there is a clip ring in place there that holds that all together. So I have to get my clip tool out after I get a thrush washer out. That's what that was I just pulled out, was a thrush washer. And I think there's like 7 or 8 thrush washers in this transmission. And yeah, I'm figuring out now that there is a clip in there. It's very hard to see the clip is, and I couldn't see it in there. I didn't know there was a clip in there. I thought there was a clip in there, but I had to go get my large flashlight so I can see what the heck is going on in there. Even with all the shop lights I have out here, it was very hard to see. So I've got my tool in there trying to separate that ring, get it out of the groove that locks that all into place. Again, when I get this out, I added some pictures of the ring to show what it looks like. It's not very easy to get a hold of. Luckily, it'll go in quick, easier than what it came out. It should just slide right in. So right now I'm turning the shaft to try to get the top of the open ring so I can get my tool in there to separate the ring to pull it out. This will take quite a while to do, and here I'm finally getting on it. There's the ring, kind of a fuzzy picture, but the ring in my fingers right there, and then here's a better look of the ring there. Again, not easy to get in there with that tool. Now I can pull this gear out and get on my way with the breakdown. And this is where the ring goes. On the shaft there is a groove that goes into. So now I can pull out the back drum and exposing the rear output shaft on the inside of the transmission. Again, another thrush ring. Once I get the retaining clip out of this one, then I was able to pull the output shaft out. Remember yesterday we took out the governor and the bolts that hold the governor in, and I was able to pull that right out of here. I do have this unbolted from the back. Haven't gotten that far yet to taking the rest of this apart. The back gear that goes into here, I have pictures in with this video. Refer to those pictures. It's this gear here, and everything in this bin goes together, and how it goes is that's the back side. When you put it back together, you gotta put your ring back in. Make sure your clips there are facing to the rear, like so, and then your cage goes on top of that, and then your gear goes in the middle. And then important to know, when you're putting these springs in, these are little springs, and what their job is to help prevent your transmission being sloppy in reverse. It helps your transmission go into reverse and only reverse, and not go forward when it's in reverse. So if any of these springs are broken, they need to be replaced. They're pretty thin, they're pretty flimsy, but when you put this back together, it's important to know right here, it goes, put your spring in there. I'm doing this one-handed because I'm holding the video camera, and then it goes bearing, spring, bearing, and you gotta make sure it's flat against one another. It does that all the way around here. So here's that rear portion of the springs and the metal bars. This is so your drum won't go forward when you're in reverse. And get the rest of the rear of the transmission apart. It's only got, I think, 5 or 6 bolts here, and it's got 2 metal pipes that fits into the those 2 holes I'm pointing at inside the transmission. When you put it back together, you got to get that back aligned, but this is pretty easy to get pulled out. The pipes made it a little harder, but I was able to move forward rather quickly on this. So with that done, here is the spring for the that holds the lever for the locking mechanism when you put the vehicle in park. Earlier I showed you the speed sensor inside the tail housing, and this is the outside of it here. That needs to be replaced. And here is the torque converter with new paint on it after the rust has been removed. It's a sealed system and everything is fine in there. I painted the inside and the outside of the bell housing blue with heat temperature paint up to 2000 degrees Fahrenheit. I use engine paint for this. So it's got shiny and new parts again. This is the tail shaft. The bushing in here was still good, so I didn't need to replace that. Here's the bushing here, as you can see it. One other thing I did not show on the video is the cleaning process that I used, and what I used to get it clean after I took the transmission apart. I started with foamy engine degreaser. You can buy this at Walmart or AutoZone. I don't remember the price on that, but it's not much. Also, oven cleaner. I use this in between the engine degreaser, but word of caution, don't use too much of the oven cleaner, because it will, if you use too much of it on aluminum, it won't go well. So be sparingly and be quick with it. And also a nice wire brush is what I used also. Well, we've reached the end of the video. I want to thank you so much for bearing with me and watching this video. Again, I apologize for the time, but if this video was helpful to you, please help me out by clicking like and subscribe, and also be sure to share this video with your friends. I hope you'll join me for part 2 of this transmission rebuild, and we'll talk to you later.